20 most dominant teams in NHL history. Some teams win a championship and celebrate for years. Others do it again and again until winning starts to feel like a routine. In the NHL, a few teams have reached that level of dominance where success isn't just expected, it's part of who they are. These are the 20 most dominant teams in NHL history. 1. Montreal Canadiens. No team in hockey has won more than the Montreal Canadiens. With 24 Stanley Cup wins, they sit at the top. From 1956 to 1960, they won 5 in a row. Then, from 1965 to 1979, added 10 more, including 4 straight between 1976 and 1979. Players like Maurice "Rocket" Richard and Guy Lafleur were stars who changed the way hockey was played. Their teams focused on speed and puck control, which was rare back then. In 1976-77, the Canadiens had one of the best seasons in NHL history. They won 60 games and only lost 8. Their goalie, Ken Dryden, had a save percentage of .934, which was almost impossible to beat. The Canadiens didn't just win games, they built legends. More than 50 players from their team are now in the Hockey Hall of Fame. For many fans, they are the true dynasty of the NHL. 2. Edmonton Oilers. Then came the Edmonton Oilers. They didn't win as many cups as Montreal, but their style was electric. From 1984 to 1990, they won 5 Stanley Cups in just 7 years. Wayne Gretzky was the face of the team. In one season, he scored 215 points, a record that still stands. He wasn't alone. Mark Messier, Jari Kurri, Paul Coffey, and goalie Grant Fuhr were all part of that powerful group. During their best years, the Oilers averaged more than 5 goals per game. No team could keep up. Even after Gretzky was traded in 1988, the Oilers won another cup in 1990. That proved their success wasn't just about one player. It was about how they played the game. Their fast and high-scoring style can still be seen today, especially in how Connor McDavid leads the current Oilers. 3. Toronto Maple Leafs. The Toronto Maple Leafs are one of the oldest teams in the NHL. They've won 13 Stanley Cups, the second most after Montreal. Most of their success came in the 1940s and 1960s. In the 1940s, they won 5 cups. Those teams were tough and focused on defense. In one season, they allowed just a little over 2 goals per game. Then in the 1960s, they won 4 more cups, with players like Dave Keon and Johnny Bower leading the way. Their last championship came in 1967, before the NHL expanded. Since then, the Leafs haven't won another cup. That drought has lasted over 50 years. But despite the struggles, their place in hockey history is secure. As part of the original 6, their name and legacy still carry weight. 4. Detroit Red Wings. The Detroit Red Wings have had ups and downs, but when they're good, they're really good. They've won 11 Stanley Cups in total. Their first big run was in the 1950s with the famous production line, which included Gordie Howe. That group helped change how teams scored goals. After some tough years between the late 60s and early 80s, known as the Dead Wings era, Detroit came back strong. From 1995 to 2008, they won 4 more cups. Those modern Red Wings mixed talent from all over the world. European stars like Sergei Fedorov and Nicholas Lidstrom played alongside tough North American players like Brendan Shanahan. In 2001-02, they built one of the strongest teams ever with 9 future Hall of Famers. They showed how to win in the new era of the NHL. 5. New York Islanders. The New York Islanders had a short but powerful run. From 1980 to 1983, they won 4 Stanley Cups in a row. That kind of streak is rare in any sport. They were built for both offense and defense. In one year, they scored over 5 goals per game. In another, they kept opponents to just over 2. Mike Bossy led the scoring, and goalie Billy Smith shut the door in key moments. During that time, the Islanders won 19 playoff series in a row. No other team in North America has ever done that. After 1984, the team faded, but that short era of success still stands out as one of the most impressive runs in hockey history. 6. Boston Bruins. The Boston Bruins are one of the oldest and toughest teams in the NHL. They've won 6 Stanley Cups and made their mark across different decades. In the 1970s, the team was led by Bobby Orr and Phil Esposito. Orr changed how defensemen played the game. He didn't just defend, he scored. In one season, he put up 139 points, a record for a defenseman that still stands today. Decades later, the Bruins built another powerhouse. From 2011 to 2019, they reached the Stanley Cup final 3 times and won it once. This time, the team was built around defense. Players like Zdeno Chara and Patrice Bergeron helped make Boston the hardest team to score against. In 2018-19, they allowed fewer goals per game than any other team in the league. Even without winning every year, the Bruins have stayed near the top. Since 1967, they've won more regular season games than almost any other team. Only the Montreal Canadiens have more. 7. Chicago Blackhawks. The Chicago Blackhawks also have 6 cups, but their best years came in different eras. They started strong in the 1930s with 2 titles and added a third in 1961. But their real golden era came much later. Between 2010 and 2015, Chicago won 3 more cups and became a modern dynasty. The team was smart about keeping its best players. Jonathan Toews, Patrick Kane, and Duncan Keith stayed together through most of that run. Even with salary cap limits, the Blackhawks found ways to keep their core strong. In 2013, they had a season to remember. They went 21 games without a single loss in regulation and finished with the best win percentage the league had seen in decades. That kind of consistency made them one of the most feared teams of the decade. 8. New York Rangers. The New York Rangers are one of the NHL's original teams, but their history has been filled with long gaps between championships. They won 3 cups between 1928 and 1940, then went over 50 years without another. That changed in 1994. Led by Mark Messier, the Rangers made a deep playoff run. In Game 6 of the conference final, Messier guaranteed a win and backed it up with a hat trick. They went on to win the Stanley Cup and ended a 54-year drought. That moment is still one of the most famous in NHL history. In more recent years, from 2014 to 2022, the Rangers were always in the mix. Goalie Henrik Lundqvist played a big part in that. His save percentage is one of the best of his era. Even though they didn't win the cup, they reached the conference finals 3 times. With their strong fan base and financial power, the Rangers are always a team to watch. 9. Pittsburgh Penguins. The Pittsburgh Penguins have built not one, but 2 dynasties. In the early 1990s, Mario Lemieux and Jaromir Jagr led the team to back-to-back cups. Lemieux was one of the most skilled players the game has ever seen. In 1992-93, he scored 160 points in a single season, despite missing time due to illness. Years later, the Penguins built another dominant team. From 2009 to 2017, they won 3 more cups. Sidney Crosby and Evgeny Malkin led the way, and the team made the playoffs 10 years in a row. Crosby was not just a great scorer, he was a leader. Even with salary cap rules in place, Pittsburgh found a way to keep winning. 10. Philadelphia Flyers. The Philadelphia Flyers might only have 2 cups, but their impact on the league goes far beyond that. In the 1970s, they earned the nickname Broad Street Bullies. They were big, rough, and not afraid to fight. But they could also play. Bobby Clarke led the team in scoring, and goalie Bernie Parent kept the puck out of the net. Their style carried over into the 1980s. Even though they didn't win more cups, they reached the finals 6 times. Players like Eric Lindros and Ron Hextall continued the Flyers' tradition of tough, physical hockey. Their success helped shape the way the game was played in the following decade. 11. New Jersey Devils. Between 1995 and 2003, the New Jersey Devils were one of the most effective teams in hockey. They won 3 Stanley Cups and reached the finals 4 times. But they didn't do it with flash. They did it with defense. Their system was called the left wing lock, and it focused on shutting teams down in the neutral zone. In the 2002-03 season, they allowed just 2.1 goals per game. That style frustrated opponents and slowed down high-powered offenses. In goal, they had Martin Brodeur. He won more games than any other goalie in NHL history. On defense, Scott Stevens and Scott Niedermayer were both strong and smart. And up front, Patrick Elias quietly led the attack. From 1994 to 2012, the Devils had a points percentage of .623. That was second only to Detroit. They didn't always get a lot of attention, but they kept winning. 12. Colorado Avalanche. The Colorado Avalanche found success quickly after moving from Quebec. Between 1996 and 2001, they won 2 cups and faced Detroit in the playoffs almost every year. Those battles became some of the fiercest in NHL history. Patrick Waugh was unbeatable in big moments. In the 2001 season, he posted a .934 save percentage during the playoffs. Joe Sakic was right behind him, leading the team in scoring and leadership, and Peter Forsberg brought skill and toughness. After 2 early cups, the Avalanche returned to the top in 2022. This time, it was Cale Makar leading the way. His 29 points in the playoffs show just how dangerous a defenseman can be in the modern game. Colorado's ability to build through the draft and adjust in different eras is what kept them in the championship conversation. 13. Tampa Bay Lightning. Since 2004, the Tampa Bay Lightning have been one of the most consistent teams in the NHL. They've won 3 Stanley Cups and made 5 trips to the final. Their strongest years came in 2020 and 2021, when they won back-to-back championships. Nikita Kucherov was a key part of that, averaging over a point per game in the playoffs. They were built around smart drafting and strong goaltending. Steven Stamkos and Victor Hedman were longtime leaders, while Andrei Vasilevsky held things down in net. Since 2017, he's kept a .925 save percentage, proving his value night after night. Even in seasons where they didn't win, like their 62-win year in 2018-19, Tampa showed they were always a threat. 14. Los Angeles Kings. In 2012, the Kings made history. They became the first 8th seed to win the Stanley Cup. They didn't do it with speed or finesse. They played what many called heavy hockey, physical, grinding, and relentless. Jonathan Quick had one of the best playoff runs ever with a .946 save percentage. Drew Doughty played over 26 minutes per game, and Andrzej Kopitar led the charge at both ends of the ice. They won again in 2014, proving their style wasn't a fluke. But the roots of their success went back even further. When Wayne Gretzky joined the Kings in 1988, he brought national attention to hockey in California. His time with the team laid the groundwork for everything that came after. 15. Calgary Flames. The Calgary Flames reached their peak between 1986 and 1989. In that short window, they went to 2 finals and won the Cup in 1989. That team was stacked. Al MacInnis had one of the hardest slap shots ever recorded, and Doug Gilmour was a brilliant playmaker. Lanny McDonald finally got his championship, scoring in the clinching game. It was a proud moment for Calgary and remains Canada's last Stanley Cup win. Even after the dynasty years ended, the Flames stayed competitive. In 2004, Jarome Iginla nearly carried them to another cup. He had 94 points that season, and goalie Mika Kiprasov posted a stunning 1.69 goals against average. The Flames never built a long-term powerhouse, but they delivered some unforgettable moments, and they still have a special place in Canadian hockey history. 16. Dallas Stars. The Dallas Stars were one of the toughest teams in the late 90s. Their best run came between 1998 and 2000. In those years, they made it to the Stanley Cup final twice and won it once in 1999. That championship is still talked about today. It ended with a controversial goal that some fans say should not have counted, but the Stars got the win. Mike Modano was their biggest star. He led the team with skill and speed. Brett Hull scored big goals, and goalie Ed Belfour was a wall in net, stopping nearly everything. Their team was built around strong defense and quick transitions. That style became a model for many teams in the years that followed. 17. St. Louis Blues. The Blues waited a long time for their first Stanley Cup. They joined the league in 1967, but didn't win it all until 2019. That year, everything finally came together. Jordan Binnington, a rookie goalie, played a huge role. He made big saves throughout the playoffs. Vladimir Tarasenko scored key goals, and the team played with a mix of skill and toughness that wore opponents down. Before that cup win, players like Brett Hull and Al MacInnis gave the Blues an exciting offense. Hull once scored 86 goals in a single season. MacInnis was known for one of the hardest shots in NHL history. 18. Vegas Golden Knights. Vegas joined the NHL in 2017, and right away, they made an impact. In their very first season, they made it all the way to the final. That had never happened before. In 2023, they finished the job and won the Stanley Cup. Their strength came from depth. Almost every line could score, and smart salary cap moves helped them stay strong even when players were injured. Big names like Mark Stone and Jack Eichel led the way, but it was truly a team effort. Since joining the league, Vegas has been one of the best teams year after year. 19. Carolina Hurricanes. The Hurricanes had their biggest moment in 2006. That year, they won the Stanley Cup with a mix of young stars and experienced leaders. Goaltender Cam Ward was just a rookie, but he played like a veteran. Eric Stahl was their top scorer, and Rod Brind'Amour brought leadership on and off the ice. In recent years, the Hurricanes have rebuilt their team using data and speed. From 2019 to 2023, they became one of the best teams in the league again. They play fast, smart hockey, and it's working. 20. Anaheim Ducks. The Ducks had a strong run between 2003 and 2017. Their biggest moment came in 2007 when they won the Stanley Cup. That team was tough and talented. Scott Niedermayer and Chris Pronger controlled the defense. Teemu Selanne scored a lot of goals, and the whole team played with power and grit. Later, players like Ryan Getzlaf led the team through more deep playoff runs. They played a heavy style, cycling the puck and wearing teams down. For over a decade, Anaheim was always a team to watch.